Back in March of this year, I rode on the Orient Express as a birthday present for my mum, and I thought it'd be interesting to film it and sort of bring you along and do a kind of review. For those who don't know what the Orient Express is, it's one of those fancy trains from before I was born. The Orient Express first hit the rails in about 1883, I think, connecting Paris to Istanbul, and lots of celebrities and wealthy fuckers would ride it. There was a murder once, but that was fictional, so you don't need to worry about it. We'll be riding on the Venice Simplon Orient Express from London to Venice. Most of the carriages on this train are restored carriages from the original trains that are over 100 years old, so I'm very excited to see what the vibes are. We begin at Victoria Station, and actually the first leg of the journey is not on the Orient Express, so I guess I fucking lied. It's on the British Pullman, which is a luxury train, but it's British, so it doesn't really count. Literally a month after this, they stopped doing this part of the journey, so this is like a fun little time capsule limited edition video. Before you get on the train, there is a little waiting area, which I didn't film because it was full of people and they were very fancy. The staff was super helpful. They seemed a little confused that I was the one that paid for everything. They kept trying to talk to my dad like he was the one that organized it, but he had to keep redirecting them to me. I think the sort of person that rides on the Orient Express is not the kind of person that I would usually interact with, and it was a lot of old rich white people. So we'll get into my interactions with some of them later into the video. Before we got on the train, me and my brother, this is my brother by the way, we decided to pick up some Agatha Christie novels to read. Since Agatha Christie wrote Murder on the Orient Express, it felt fitting. So we get on the British Pullman and we're immediately led to our seats. It's the morning, so they're setting up for breakfast. My parents are very excited. The decorum is like fancy British, but with a little bit of a Greek influence. Each of the carriages are named after different Greek figures. I think we were in Perseus. My brother pointed out art of Perseus and Medusa on the wall. Here's a look at the menu. You got pastries, a brunch bowl, some smoked salmon, some tea. I mean, you can pause if you really want to inspect this. No idea why my mum thought that was funny. They give you a little map to show you the route from London Victoria to Dover, just a fun little extra. We started moving and it felt a little odd to be in such an old-fashioned train, leaving such a modern station.
You look like the one that gets murdered.
They came by with drinks like Prosecco and other alcoholic beverages. My family, obviously, they're all fucking alcoholics, so they started drinking. I don't really drink. I think the staff found this a little weird, so they were desperately trying to offer non-alcoholic beverages. They gave me a non-alcoholic mojito, which, I mean, let's say I would have just preferred to have juice. The food, on the other hand, incredible. Pastry, banger. And then the brunch bowl, which is like a mixture of berries, granola, yogurt, tangerine syrup, was incredible. But this poached egg muffin and salmon was genuinely one of the best things I have eaten in my entire life. I don't know how to describe it because I've had all of these things before in different combinations, but for some reason I've never experienced this taste palette before. It was incredible. Side note, the bathrooms have like a mosaic of Perseus on the floor, and also, hello! You get given a nice little chocolate treat after your meal, and it was good. It was good. It was very rich. Once we got to the coast of England, we transitioned onto a bus, which I imagine would then go into the Channel Tunnel. Full confession, my sleep schedule was so bad at this point that I barely slept the night before, so I was asleep for most of this bus journey. Anyway, I woke up and we got off the bus in Calais, and now it's time for actual Orient Express, the reason why you're here and watching the video. I'm sorry for the 3 minutes of bullshit before this. All the staff were lining up in front of the train, sort of like you would do at the end of a musical, but it was cool. The train itself looked awesome. It was this lovely blue color. I don't know why I was expecting it to be green, but I'm very happy with the blue. We go to the correct carriage. We're greeted by the staff. They're super helpful as per usual.
Yes, right, the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
perfect. Yeah. Then when I finish the boarding, I'm coming to offer you some champagne, okay?
Lovely.
So I opted to get the typical cabin experience. Back in the day, this is what you would have been riding in. It's like a seated cabin. The seats fold out to become a bunk bed. I'm staying in this room with my brother. My parents are staying in the room next to it. The Orient Express does offer more luxurious rooms with big double beds, but fuck off, that's expensive. I don't have that kind of money. Each room also comes with a sink and general washing area for you brushing your teeth and doing sink activities, etc. I'll show you more of the room later, but first, we gotta get into our fancy suits for our fancy Orient Express dinner. I am not a man that owns suits. I had to buy one especially for this. They say in the dress code they will confine you to your quarters like a prisoner if you don't dress appropriately. So apparently before we left, my dad only brought one shirt and he didn't try it on before we came. He told my brother that it'd be fine because it's the same size as all of his other shirts, and my brother was like, no, because if you can't fit into it, what are you gonna do? And lo and behold, as we were putting our suits on, we hear a loud tear coming from the other room and my dad going, "Oh, fuck!" And my brother looks so immediately pissed off because clearly my dad has ripped a hole in his shirt. He then had to go to this super fancy dinner holding his shirt in place the entire time. This was our first actual experience with the main cabins of the Orient Express, and genuinely, they look incredible. There is live piano music playing throughout most of the day, and he plays a wide variety of different kinds of music, but he does not take requests, as we found out later when some random lady walked up to him and asked him to play the James Bond theme, and when he said no, she said, "Why not? My dad wrote it. Can't you make a special exception for me?" Which is a ludicrous position to bargain from, and also a really good example of the sort of people that were riding this train. In other news, they have pineapple juice on this train, which, I mean, 10 out of 10, 5-star, best. We get to the dining car, and it's kind of surreal to be in what looks like a 5-star restaurant, but it's on a train. Here's the menu. It's all inclusive, but it did have the option to spend like 600 euros on caviar, which obviously I was not going to do. I had caviar once whilst I was in Paris for TwitchCon, and honestly, it just tastes like cum. Before you get your starters, you get this rotund bit of bread, which I didn't eat much of because I was worried I was going to fill up before the actual meal, which for starters was salmon. It was really good. I loved it. And for the main course, it was described as hen with chestnut, squash, and wild cranberry sauce, but it was so good. I just love juicy meat. Like, the biggest downside of meat is when it's just too dry, you know, but this was... I am aware that my food reviews are just, this is good, this tastes good, but I'm not a culinary expert. I'm not going to give you anything more complicated than that, and you're just going to have to deal with that. Wine and other drinks were complimentary during the meal, but they were not complimentary whilst at the bar. This is a very important factor that we will call back to later. At this point, 2 things happened. 1, my camera died. 2, I got very sick and I started throwing up a whole bunch. I do not have any footage of the night, so I'm sorry I can't show you the conversion from sofa to bed, but yes, the sofa transforms into bunk beds. My brother slept on the top bunk, I slept on the bottom bunk. They were very comfy and great. I didn't get any sleep because my brother's a terrible snorer and he snored all night. In the morning, once the bed has been converted back into sofa mode, somebody comes by with tea, coffee, and pastries, and you eat it on your little table in your room whilst watching Europe go past. Genuinely, this might be my favorite moment of the trip. I'm just a big fan of train journeys and sitting in comfortable seats and drinking hot drinks and reading books. That's just like the kind of guy that I am. And at this part of the journey, the view is incredible. If you look out the window, you can see beautiful lakes, the Swiss mountains. To be fair, the mountains do predate the country of Switzerland, so I should just call them mountains, to be honest. But I was having a lovely time just looking out of the window and feeling a little less sick. After we finished our breakfast, we got little postcards that we were able to send to ourselves or family, etc. I mean, we just sent them to ourselves. I have a wall of postcards at home. I collect them from all the countries that I visit. So this was just another postcard I could add to my collection, which I was very happy about. Oh, it's fancy suit time again because it's time for lunch. There is a little waiting area before lunch, but I was never here for that long. We head back to the dining car. It's not that busy because we eat lunch at a weird time. I just wanted to say that this menu also has a really cool design. I don't know why I really like the designs of these menus. I just think they're neat. And what's also neat is the cool little train design on the plates. When I saw this at first, I thought it was a soup. Lunch started with some pan-seared scallops and potato and cauliflower, and it was incredible. And then the main course was duck l'orange. And here's some footage of the l'orange being poured onto the duck. Oh, I am hungry watching this. And for dessert, we had exotic fruits baba. I don't know what a baba is, but it was really good. And here's footage of my brother failing to get a scoop of it into his spoon. A couple hours after lunch, we also get fun little cakes in our room and more tea, which I'm always happy about. We're approaching the end of the train journey now, and to be honest, for being on a train for 2 full days, leaving in the morning of one day and arriving in the evening of the next, I genuinely had such a good time. I mean, I love trains anyway, but this is like a super fancy, comfy, fun train. And I loved it. What you're seeing here is the water on either side of the railway approaching Venice, which I should have assumed would be the case, but it was still incredible nevertheless.
Here we are.
What time is it?
We've been here a while now. 5:20.
Been here like 10 minutes.
Have we?
Remember when I said we would come back to the alcohol only being free during the dinners? Well, once we arrived at Venice Station, I had somebody knock on my door and hand me a bill of about 600 euros in wine that my parents managed to rack up in the bar the night that I was sick and not being able to sleep, accompanied by my mum timidly putting her head around the door saying, "We had a really good time." Like, that makes it any better? Anyway, I paid the bill and got off the train. The Orient Express people provide someone that will help you get to your hotel, which was great, because we got to ride on a fun little boat through Venice. I think overall it was a great experience, especially if you like trains or just fancy shit. It's probably a bit overpriced and something that rich people just do to say that they've done it, but it made my mum very happy, and that makes me happy, so I'm glad that I did it. And afterwards, Venice was great. I loved Venice. Big ups, Venetia! If you made it this far, thanks for watching this video. This is my first attempt doing anything like this, and if you enjoyed it, let me know. I'm doing this as like a side hobby thing to my music and D&D stuff, so don't expect super frequent uploads here, but maybe every few months I'll have a fun little drop where I do something interesting and share it with you guys. But for now, if you made it here, comment a compliment to make me feel better about myself. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.